his assistant, Hope Hicks, former assistant, has been on the stand. She's a rather glamorous figure. She was only about 25, 26 when she started to work for Trump in his campaign and in the White House. And she is describing in court the panic that hit the Trump campaign when that notorious Access Hollywood tape came out, and Donald Trump was describing that he could do what he liked with women and that, they could grab them by the wherever. So she has been, in some ways, good for the prosecution. In a key piece of evidence, she said that she thought it was highly uncharacteristic of Donald Trump's fixer, the lawyer Michael Cohen, to pay for $130,000 to Stormy Daniels, the porn star, to hush her up out of the goodness of his heart, which is what Trump had been suggesting to Hope Hicks he had done. Michael Cohen is just not the sort of guy who does things out of the goodness of his heart, she thought. It didn't sound like him.
The US, where campuses across the country are reckoning with the fallout of student protests, and Donald Trump's criminal trial and presidential campaign are all still going strong. Joining me now, Sarah Baxter, director of the Mary Colvin Institute for International Reporting. Sarah, thanks for giving us your time.
Hello.
Let's look at what's been going in the university protests. Hundreds of students have been arrested at the University of California, UCLA. Police flattened tent sites there, and other universities have also struck deals with protesting students, agreeing to review their investments in Israel to stop these protests. Why have we seen this huge burst and movement all across the United States universities?
Well, there's no doubt that a lot of students have been radicalized over the issue. I mean, obviously, there are a huge number of deaths at the moment in Gaza, and students, particularly young people, are young people with a conscience by definition. What's made it somewhat uglier has been the tone of the protests, the disrespect shown to Jewish students on campus, and that is what has made governing these bodies so difficult. And what you've often seen is not just students divided, but also faculty divided. And that's what's caused Columbia University, where Manu Shafiq is in charge, such problem. She left LSE to join Columbia and found herself in the midst of a massive storm. And it's very difficult to get everybody to act with one voice. But I have to tell you, I actually work at a university. That's where the Marie Colvin Center is based, at Stony Brook University, which is a public university for New York State. And we've had our protests, been a few arrests, but it's been pretty peaceful. And I can tell you now that universities have had their last classes and that they're entering into the exam season. And I think you're going to see something. I think you're going to get a very different picture in the coming week. It's going to be a lot quieter. And what everybody's worrying about is graduation day, which tends to be in about 10 days to a fortnight's time. And that could be another flashpoint. And that's when parents come and celebrate their children's achievements. So university administrators are very nervous about that. But in general, I think it's been one of those summer protests, sort of almost summer of love, where people love to set up shop in a tent and hang out and play their bongs and all the rest. That's been an underplayed festive element to all this, and I think people are going to just disperse for the summer.
Well, it doesn't look festive, particularly when you look at some of the social media videos or the way the police have responded, not just to the students, but also to some professors who've been going out asking the police why they're arresting certain people and finding themselves under violent arrest. Has this been handled poorly by the police?
No, I don't think so. And I think the university administrators are doing their best as well. As I say, some faculty members have been siding with students, particularly at campuses with the tradition of protest like Columbia. But on the other hand, another campus, there's an article today about how well Berkeley in California, part of the University of California system, has been handling things very well. That's a famous 1960s site of protests as well. So it does vary from campus to campus. There have been about 2,100 arrests in all of students, but we're talking across America. This is a radical minority fringe that have been violent or occupying buildings. I think inevitably, and I don't blame the cameras for this, they're focusing on the heaviest bits.
Okay. Let's look at some of the events surrounding Donald Trump. What can you tell us about the trial and how it's going?
Well, I should say, while the campus protests are going on, there's this sort of split screen effect, which is probably helping to distract from Donald Trump's trial when you're looking at the scenes on campus. And I think a lot of Democrats are worrying this is going to affect things. But meanwhile, it's Donald Trump who's sitting in a court in Manhattan, not that far from Columbia University, I should say. And his assistant, Hope Hicks, former assistant, has been on the stand. She's a rather glamorous figure. She was only about 25, 26 when she started to work for Trump in his campaign and in the White House. And she is describing in court the panic that hit the Trump campaign when that notorious Access Hollywood tape came out, and Donald Trump was describing that he could do what he liked with women and that, they could grab them by the wherever. So um, she has been, in some ways, good for the prosecution. In a key piece of evidence, she said that she thought it was highly uncharacteristic of Donald Trump's fixer, the lawyer Michael Cohen, to pay for $130,000 to Stormy Daniels, the porn star, to hush her up out of the goodness of his heart, which is what Trump had been suggesting to Hope Hicks he had done. Michael Cohen is just not the sort of guy who does things out of the goodness of his heart, she thought. It didn't sound like him. On the more plus side for the defense for Donald Trump, she did say Trump was very worried about Melania Trump's reaction, the reaction of his wife. And I think that the defense are going to say, look, Stormy Daniels wasn't paid off because of election matters. She was paid off so that Melania could never get to hear about it. But I'm not sure that will fly.
Okay. Sarah, as always, thanks for giving us your time. Really appreciate it. Sarah Baxter there, Director of the Mary Colvin Institute for International Reporting.